Well, I think I totally messed that up on the live stream. And I'm here. Welcome back to the Tyler Morgan Show, live on twitch.tv/Tyler Morgan Show or youtube.com/at the Tyler Morgan Show. Ooh, it's a doozy of a week to be best to get through it. And I'm going to, this will probably be a struggle to keep it PG because involved class. People on social media who get involved. So, like I said, when you see the if before I get let me talk putting my face back on the screen, got the live stream back up apparently. So if you're watching this on YouTube, I will put it in the notes that there was a technical error and the live stream crashed mid show, but it's up and running again. Awesome. Awesome. All right. So I would be deeply remiss if I did not discuss what happened in Minneapolis earlier this week with the shooting of the protester. Now, I I have a very circumspect view on what happened because of my experiences in Afghanistan and my experiences in life in general. So that being said, I believe the shooting was justified, but not necessary. And when the initial videos came out, you had angles that were very, very challenging to really tell what happened. The initial videos that everyone was heavily relied on were the camera was about 30 degrees to the left of the back corner of the vehicle. And really, you could only see one of the officers for most of it. And you see the car back up while the officer is engaged with the driver. You see one of the officers reaching in and trying to get the door open. And then the car takes off and appears to clip the other officer who, if you look closely, you can see him beginning to draw his sidearm once the first officer is stepping towards the vehicle, ordering the driver out. And then when she backs up, you see him pulling his gun because, show of force. Show of force. And then she puts it in drive and goes forward. And it appears he's clipped in the initial video. And almost on contact with the vehicle, the first shot goes off, and it may have been one. I've heard as many as three. I've seen so many videos and watched so many times. I haven't really been able to tell. And then the other day, yesterday, the officer who shot, his cell phone video comes out. He was using his cell phone in lieu of a body cam. You see him get out of his vehicle, and he records the front of the vehicle, walks around, and you see Ms. Good, who is obviously not panicked or upset at that time. Smile on her face. I'm not mad at y'all. And he continues to move around to the rear of the vehicle, records her license plate. And then we're introduced to Ms. Good's wife, who is very loud, angry, and confrontational with the officer. Oh, we don't change our plates every day. It'll still be the same plate when you come talk to us later. And he just, keeps walking. And you hear, I'm an American citizen. Continues to walk around. She follows, putting herself between him and the vehicle, taunting him. And he starts to walk past the front of the vehicle again. And he begins to, you can't see it from his point of view, but as the vehicle backs up, he steps towards it and he is pulling, with his right right hand, he's pulling his sidearm. And then you see the vehicle going to drive and come at him, and you hear it make contact. And the phone drops to the side. He never loses control of the phone, maintains positive control of it. And it's really hard to hear in his phone video any shots because there's just so much jumbling as his phone is like bouncing off his side. And like I said, it really seems like in his video, the time he makes contact is when the initial shot that goes through the front of the windshield. And like I said, none of this was necessary. They were approaching her because she was parked in the middle of the road for a good 3 or 4 minutes before anyone approached her vehicle, before any officer got out. They'd been, it's my understanding, they were trying to get another ICE vehicle that was on the side of the road and stuck in the snow and ice, trying to get it moved. And she was blocking traffic intentionally. You have all the protesters walking around, blowing their little rape whistles, trying their best just to be a nuisance to everyone involved. And then we see the follow-on videos. Had she complied with officers when he said, step out of the vehicle, put the vehicle in park, shut it off, step out of the vehicle, this wouldn't have happened. And I know there's like the extreme libertarians. Oh, you bootlickers, you go from don't step on me to you better obey. Listen, I get it. You guys hold up the non-aggression philosophy, whatever they call it, as if it's a god. There is no need for any government ever to have to use force for any reason. But a government that does not use judiciously applied force is not a government. I hate to tell you that, extreme libertarians. The point of libertarianism isn't about anarchy. It's not about lawlessness. There is always a threat of force in some point or another from the government. We, the people, have given that power through social contract to the government. That if the government has to apply force, be it military on foreign powers military against foreign powers to protect us, whether it's an invasion, whether it's a foreign entanglement that we are aiding allies, whatever, we entrust that violence to the government. So not every Tom, Dick, and Harry has to, go over as independent citizens of the United States and wage a war. Through our Constitution, we have given the government the power to raise an army to go do that. At the local level, we have given the government the power to install a police force, to enforce the laws that we as the people, either through a direct election, via a referendum, or through our representative government, city councils, uh, uh, count, county boards, county boards, state legislatures, the Senate, the Congress. This representative republic exists for a reason. These people that we have entrusted with our power have gone and voted on and made laws that are to be enforced by either federal police, state police, local police. That's why they exist. And in this case, we, through our representative government, have passed immigration laws. These laws have not been enforced, so now immigration and customs enforcement are enforcing those laws. They are rounding up illegal aliens, whether they have a violent criminal history here in the United States, whether they're just here illegally and not breaking any other laws. They've already broken a U.S. federal law declaring that coming into the United States without permission is a crime, whether it's just a civil penalty and you get deported or go to jail. It's still a crime, period. End of story. They're doing the jobs that we, the people, entrusted them to do. And you stupid libertarians are so caught up on your NAP that anytime law enforcement does have to use violence for any reason, you're just part of the blue line, you're just a bootlicker. Shut up. This is why no one takes libertarians seriously. This is why I call myself a conservative with a libertarian leaning. But anyways, but it turns out the reason they were there is because the reason Ms. Good and her wife were there was because they were doing social media stunt for social media clout. Feeling cute today might go interfere in federal law enforcement operation. They made choices. They were bad choices. Don't get me wrong. If you want to go and protest in the areas where these ICE operations are happening, go blow your whistle, yell at the cops, act like a clown. Go do it. Go do it. First Amendment. Go do it. Please. I beg of you to go and protest. That's why we have the First Amendment. You have freedom of speech. This is your way of petitioning the government for redress because you feel the government's overstepping. So you're out there making yourself heard. Awesome. I want you to be heard. But you do not have a right to interfere with lawful law enforcement operations. Period. End of story. And you also have a duty. Remember Uncle Ben from Spider-Man? With great power comes great responsibility. With great freedom comes great duty. Because we have given a certain aspect of our personal sovereignty to the government to be able to enforce laws to ensure the social order. If they give you a lawful order, it is your duty to comply. Even if even if you think the order is unlawful, guess what? You comply. You get arrested, you catch your charge, and you take it to court. Don't fight about if the cop is right or wrong on the street. Don't act like an ass because, well, what you're doing out here is wrong, and I don't want to see you being doing wrong things. You don't have a right to arrest me. I'm a U.S. citizen, and you're immigration, blah, 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 blah. Guess what? They are a federal law enforcement entity. Just like the FBI, just like the ATF, just like the game warden, just like your local and state police, they do have the authority and the jurisdiction to arrest you if you are preventing them from doing their lawful duties. Period. End of freaking story. I saw a great TikTok. Great TikTok. It's a guy, he's got a 35-year history of being a liberal Democrat protester. And he, like me, is absolutely heartbroken that what happened in Minneapolis ended up costing a woman her life, a child, her mother, another lady, her spouse. And when he's saying this, he says that he has more room to speak on than 99.9% of people who have been commenting on it. And then he holds up his mugshot from the very first time that he was arrested at a protest. He had it framed, by the way. He's proud of that arrest. He is proud of the things that he was protesting for. And he said, "Do you know why I have this mugshot picture and why I'm not in the ground 35 years later? Because when you protest, sometimes you step over a line. And when you cross that line and the cops say you are under arrest, you don't fight with the cops. You don't argue it out with them in the streets. You exactly what I just said, because he said it first. I'm giving this guy whose name I don't know his TikTok account because it was shared by someone else who basically, downloaded the video and then green screened it on top of his face. So I don't know who the original poster was. But if you think the cops are wrong when they arrest you, you turn around, you put your hands behind your back, you take your licks, you go to jail, and then you argue it out in court. That's what the court is there for. I forgot how many times he said he had been arrested at protests in those 35 years. But he straight up said, I know that cop over there, I tell myself that cop over there has a child with leukemia. That cop over there, his wife is cheating on with the mailman. That cop there, his kid just graduated high school and is going to college. He keeps them human in his mind. He does not turn them into enemies, into people who need to be fought against, dragons that need to be vanquished. They're still humans, just like he is. And he called out the people who are responsible. The politicians who, like Maxine Waters, who tell people when you see someone from the other side at a restaurant, at a grocery store, at a gasoline station, you get in their face. The Eric Holders, former Attorney General of the United States, top law enforcement officer in this country. When they go low, we kick them. That Eric Holder. He calls out the news media. He calls out the social media personalities who who make it popular to get into these confrontations for the clicks, for the likes, for the lulz. He holds his own side to a higher standard than he does law enforcement. And the, just like if the next administration comes in, if it's a Democrat administration, and you have people on the right, and I'm not going to include those freaking morons, Patriot Front. I'm not going to include KKK and all those other idiots. I don't care about them. They can all burn in hell for all I care. But if the regular right-wing people like me start following people who begin saying, "Oh, we need to do this against," and they're starting to use more and more rhetoric that is the opposite of people like Charlie Kirk or Glenn Beck, who protest, use your voice, but do not use violence. They start encouraging the use of violence. They start encouraging actively interfering with lawful stuff that law enforcement is doing. I'm going to hold my side to a higher standard than the Democrats and the liberals. That's how it should be. We should always hold ourselves to a higher standard than the other guys. That way we have moral clarity. And like I said, this TikToker with this long history of protesting for civil rights, gay rights, whatever other things that he's been protesting for the last 35 years of his life. He understands the outcome he wants. He understands, he understands the First Amendment. He understands that if he gets out of line and does something arrest worthy, hey, it's going to take my licks. Deal with it in court. I'm not going to deal with it out here on the streets. He brought up something that the chief of police for Chicago, a guy who was appointed by commie mayor Brandon Johnson, 6 months ago, he was telling the people of Chicago, this is already a high tension environment when you're going to, protest outside of the ICE detention facility there near Chicago. I think it's Brookfield, I think. I don't know off the top of my head. It begins with a B. I know that much. But he knows this is a high stress environment. You have officers there who are trying to do their jobs. They're trying to protect, obviously, the people who are inside. Because we have a duty to keep the people who we detain safe until they are deported. It's understandable. You want to keep any inmate safe. You want to keep the guy to the left and to the right of you safe. You have a crowd of people come up, making noise, shouting, getting in your face, trying to antagonize you into an act. The chief of police for the city of Chicago said, don't do it. You box them in, and they will be 100% justified in protecting themselves. because it could be an ambush. It could be drawing you in, or it could be drawing the cops look as they could be getting drawn into something worse happening than just heads throwing water. And for the people who look at the videos and they have this wonderful benefit of being able to watch the video, back it up, watch it again, back it up, play through it frame by frame by frame, and analyze every little bit of minutia to that video. And that's from a third party point of view. And they can Monday morning quarterback it until the end of time and say what an officer did was right or wrong. Don't put themselves, as much as the left loves to talk about how important empathy is, they will not empathize with the officer. They will not put themselves in the officer's shoes and imagine the scene from that officer's point of view, because they already have it in their head. The officer's 100% wrong. People on the right telling, oh, Ms. Good was 100% in the wrong. Like I said, I saw that officer's video from his phone, and it really seems to me like he was in a split-second decision. And he made a choice that he's going to have to live with for the rest of his life. I believe he was justified. It's going to be investigated. I know everyone's mad that they're not going to let Minnesota investigators handle it because it's federal law enforcement officials, so the FBI is going to do it. Now, I don't know what this outcome is going to be from this investigation. Honestly, it's the FBI. The FBI has investigated law enforcement at the federal and local levels and the state levels, and they have determined that this officer was in the wrong when it seemed like the officer was in the right. And they have said this officer is in the right when even people who are pro-police will go, I don't think he was in the right at all. And any outcome other than this officer is 100% in the wrong, and Ms. Good and her spouse, who was yelling, "Drive, baby, drive," bear no culpability. Any outcome other than that, the left is going to have an absolute conniption. You could, timestamp 10:35 p.m. Central Time, January 10th, 2026. There will be riots if the FBI says, no, he did nothing wrong. Even if they put a million caveats as to, things that should have been done on both sides to prevent this outcome. Even if they say 100% justified, they only mildly culpable in the situation, the left is going to riot because they want their heads. They want scalps, literal and figurative. But at the end of the day, it's It's madness. You know, we see all these videos of protesters who start getting handsy with cops, and the left defends them when the cops react in, you know, any way, shape, or form. Yeah, there was a protester who tried grabbing a grenade launcher for tear gas and yeah, other deterrents, I guess, from an ICE agent. I think it was actually Border Patrol, and he didn't pay attention to the sling, so he grabs it, and the guy yanks it back, steps back, and 40 millimeters of looked like orange chalk right in the dude's face. This isn't a straight up fuck around, find out kind of episode where I'm laying all the blame, because I can't lay all the blame on the driver. I believe that she was convinced that this is a great idea. We need to go do this. And she said, okay. And she went along. Her wife was filming it for all the for the insta clicks and the likes and the shares, and maybe make a little monetization off of it. I don't know. Now, of course, now she's got a GoFundMe that's raking in all sorts of cash. But I don't know. And I'm going to get into why I am so circumspect on this. I know a lot of people have said, oh, she was only going like 2 miles an hour. How much damage could she have done? Well, today, just today, I was running my wife's shop when she got there after having a visit with her mom, who's in a nursing home. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna run out to my truck, be right back. Walking through the parking lot, and great big Jeep Rubicon does not see me, and I catch a spare tire all down the left side of my body. They were backing up at 1 to 2 miles an hour, 2 to 3 miles an hour. Guess what? I and I think my okay, I thought my live stream was crashing again, but you see how quickly the vehicle moves. It's like, sure, it looked like it was going, 3 or so miles an hour, but when you lay on the gas, maybe at a given point, it is moving that speed, but it's still accelerating. It is still putting more momentum into it. So, yeah, it's like that was like an unexpected thing. I used to drive a trash truck. Not one of these fancy ones where you don't have to get out. I had to get out every house, walk along the truck, get the trash cans, dump them in the back, put the trash cans back, and walk back alongside the truck. let's just say me and cars, I don't trust drivers for any reason at all. I remember being in a little town, Marshfield, Missouri, and I'm near a school during peak traffic hours for that area because of the school. And so I'm paying attention, watching what traffic's doing because I don't want to get hit by a car in the oncoming lane. And I, get out, go deal with the trash, staying at the corner of the truck. And I'm wearing, the bright yellow so people can see me vest. And there's a car there. I'm just kind of watching out of the corner of my eye because the driver seems a little twitchy. And when the oncoming traffic clears and I'm able to step out to the side of the truck, so does that car that I said was a little twitchy. And hooked the back of my leg with the mirror on the car, and they just kept going. Kind of spun me into the side of the truck a little bit. And yeah, and this officer who was involved in the shooting 6 months ago engaged in something else where he is trying to subdue a person in a vehicle. I don't know if it was an illegal alien he was trying to effect an arrest on. I don't know if it was another protester situation where, hey, I'm ordering you out of the vehicle, and oh, you're not going to get out of the vehicle. Okay, I'm going to remove you from the vehicle. And the person takes off. He gets drugged 300 feet and ends up with like 33 stitches as a result of it. He is probably not very trusting of people in cars either. I'm sure as hell not. But the biggest reason for my circumspect on why I can think that it was justified but not necessary. I'm sure y'all love war stories. It's the only thing I've got to really explain why I feel this way about the shooting being justified. Way back in 2011, I am deployed to the Sabari district of host province, Afghanistan. My company's 3rd platoon was out doing TCP ops, traffic control point operations. And generally they'll go out to a unspecified distance from our base. And they'll put concertina wire up across the road, have the ANA stop cars, and they'll, interview drivers, if they're doing a biometrics collection, have the drivers entered into bats and hides, which is the biometric system. See if they're already in it, upload them if they are, collect DNA, just stuff like that. And then it's a normal day for them. It's getting late in the afternoon, and they have a guy come up, as Afghans are wont to do, and he goes and he finds the platoon leader for the Afghans, and the men like to hug. So it was not unusual to see a local Afghan walk up and give the lieutenant for the Afghans a hug. What was unusual was when he went kaboom. No one was expecting an exploding Afghan that day. Not the Afghans, not my brothers in that platoon, not the civilians in the area. There was a car at the checkpoint when it went boom. They panicked and they crashed the TCP. One of the machine gunners in one of the trucks, dude just went kaboom. Now there's a car driving at me. Adds 2 plus 2, comes up with 4, and he does his job. He opens fire on that vehicle with said machine gun. What no one knew at the time was that this was not a coordinated S-Vest V-bed attack. Because now we have hindsight. Now we can go, oh crap. Did we screw up? No, at the time, someone went boom, car runs TCP, the gunner does his job. He did not hesitate. He wounded 2 civilians, and it was a guy who was on his way to Host City because his pregnant wife had a doctor's appointment the next morning, and she lost her child as a result. And that's a hard story to hear. That's a hard story to tell. I wasn't even there, and it's a hard story to tell. But that's the reason I have this outlook on what happened. Because when you are the person with the gun and you are in that split second decision making, are you saying, I don't want to do something that's going to cost someone their life unnecessarily? Do you say, one of us is going home tonight and it's going to be me? Consequences be damned. Or does your training become second nature and you just react? And this, as a person who's had to, go, oh shit, and react, to other situations, I mean, do I shoot at the, say, I don't think I should shoot at that mosque over there, because shooting at mosque, that's a war crime. But why am I shooting at that mosque? Oh, there's an asshole with an AK-47 shooting at me from that mosque. At the time, I did not give crap one about that mosque. I cared about the AK-47 and the dude wielding it who was trying to kill me. And when you're a civilian, it is so hard to understand that mindset. If you're already not a fan of law enforcement for whatever reason, it is really hard to understand that mindset of, there's a 4,000-pound missile coming at me. What do I do? Especially if one of those 4,000-pound missiles has already caused you great bodily harm in the past. Uh, man, I am just still utterly just appalled that it happened. Anytime when a life is lost unnecessarily and tragically, it it should shake you to your core. If it doesn't, there something definitely wrong with you. If it doesn't bother you, I'm bothered by it. I will admit that. You're seeing the video, just telling the story from Afghanistan. Probably seen my eyes starting to get a little red and glassy, and I've only had just a few sips of that. Not enough to affect that. Um, yeah, and especially the more ambiguous that a situation is, it we should give all sides more leeway. Whether Ms. Good was in the right or wrong, blocking traffic the way she was, because she was sitting there for 3 or 4 minutes. The people, simping and making excuses. Well, she was trying to make a 3-point turn and get turned around. Well, if why would she be trying to get turned around on a one-way street? I mean, people want to justify outrage. They really do. They will go to no ends to forgive bad behavior. They will go to ignore the nose on their face when confronted with evidence that shows contrary. Like I said, I believe this was a justified homicide committed in self-defense. There will be people, well, he put himself there. It's like, well, he was walking around the front of the vehicle, and I don't think he was planning on trying to use his body as a shield to stop it. It looked to me like he was in the process of walking around to, be able to film the interaction with his, compatriot to have it on record for evidentiary purposes. Here is how it went down when we arrested this person, because they don't have body cams. There is no federal statute requiring at least ICE to have a body cam during one of these interactions. So they've taken to filming it. So, yeah, the people who are just commenting third party and not having and just ignoring the facts of everything and not, using their beloved empathy to put themselves in the officer's shoes at the time. It's ridiculous. And again, it's justified, but it shouldn't have had to happen that way. Should not have. She could have extricated herself from the situation beforehand. She could have decided a more appropriate way to protest. But choices were made leading up to it. Decisions were made in the heat of the moment, and it ended badly. I'm sad to say. So to a liberal who may be actually watching this on YouTube, who for the full, nearly hour or so. I hope you didn't turn it off when the feed crashed. I hope you're still here. You're listening to this podcast. If you're liberal, I want you to protest. I want you to stand up for what you believe. Just like I want people on my side to stand up for what we believe. But if your protest crosses the line within the social order, and you do something that is a police officer finds that this is something worth arresting them over, you throw a rock and you bloody an officer's nose. Hey, they tell you to stop. You're under arrest. Just stop. I get it. You get it. People get emotional and they do dumb things in the heat of the moment. And if you do something dumb in the heat of the moment, don't make it worse. If they say you're under arrest, just go with it. Worry about it. Worry about it on the backside. Maybe you're in a liberal city where the DA is going to go, oh, they're arrested for that. Yeah, no charges. Just please stand up for what you believe in. Just do it smartly. Don't riot. Don't assault people. Don't interfere with perfectly lawful things. Be heard. I don't agree with half the stuff you're protesting about, but it's your right. I will defend your right to protest. Every day. I will say I don't agree with the damn thing he's saying, but it's his right to say it. So please stand up for what you believe in. Do it smart. Don't antagonize cops into making an already tense situation worse. All right, if you are a new listener or viewer to the show, please, if you're on YouTube and you made it this far, I apologize for it crashing like 2 minutes in. I was not even 2 minutes in. Like, it's like, oh, I forgot to put myself in the studio. I need to go do that. Go to click on it, and so boom, something went wrong. Oh no! And I had to come back into the whole thing. So please stick around. Subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, all that happy stuff. Share the video. Apologize on my behalf for the sudden blank spot in it. If you're a podcast listener and you're new to it, please subscribe or follow whatever your podcast platform calls it these days. Once you've done that, please rate the show. I'm looking for 5 stars. I'll accept 4, 3 and below. We need to have a conversation. Hit me up on the Twitters at Fake Tyler Morgan, and my DMs are open. Explain to me why you need to give 3 or below. I love constructive criticism. It makes me better when you tell me what I'm doing wrong or how I can improve. But if you just want to be a mean, callous jerk, and please make your insults funny. If your insults are something that goes, wow, he put some real thought and effort into that, believe me, I will have mad respect. If you're just going to come up with some dumb, lame excuse, well, your mom, yeah, I'm just going to make fun of you. Period. End of story. Yeah. Or if you call me an Alex Jones wannabe. If you want to call me an Alex Jones wannabe, that's fine. I'm just going to keep bringing it up for years and years. It's in my Apple reviews. You can go to my Apple reviews to see that I was called an Alex Jones wannabe, and I just talk about myself too much, and just check it out. So again, thank you so much for listening. subscribe, follow, whatever they call it. Apple's follow, everyone else's subscribe. Rate, review, and please share this episode or the podcast in general. Since somebody you think will love it, since somebody you think will drive an absolute bat crap crazy. Believe me, I love making other people crazy because I'm crazy enough as it is. I don't need any more crazy in my own head. I want to share it with the other people. So again, thank you for following along, hanging out, having a good time with me, enjoying a little sip of bourbon on the old podcast evenings. And as always, if I find the right buttons to click, I will click them. And as always, stay relentless. The Tyler Morgan Show is a Relentless Daring media production. The Tyler Morgan Show is supported by its listeners. To support the show, go to ko-fi.com/Tyler Morgan Show to donate there, or relentlessdaring.com and hit the donate button at the top of the page to set up your donation. All music used in the Tyler Morgan Show is used with permission from purpleplanet.com, link in the show notes. 2 Timothy 1:7.